Hi, third grade. My name is Victoria, and I work for a place called the Steelworks Museum. Have you ever heard of this place before? The Steelworks Museum? Well, here at the museum, we teach people about steel, how it's made, some of the people who work together to make the steel. We teach people about things that you can do with steel once it's made. Here in Pueblo, we have a very special place called a steel mill, which is sort of like a factory where the steel will be made. For more than 120 years, this place was called the Colorado Fuel and Iron Company. We call it CF&I for short. And this place is very, very important to Pueblo's history. So we also teach people about the steel mill. Today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about one of the people who were involved in the steel mill's history. So let me share my screen here so that you can follow along with some pictures. So a steel mill is a very dangerous place to work. And you probably remember that if you've seen some of our other videos, or if you have been following along in your Pueblo history part of your social studies class, that a steel mill, it's an important place. It's also a dangerous place. So here in this picture, you can see this man here. He's working at cutting some railroad tracks. That's what this thing is here. And railroad tracks are very, very hot when they're being cut. And they're, as you can see, this saw here has a blade on it that goes around and around and around super fast. And when it touches the metal that makes the railroad track, it sends off a bunch of sparks. And that could be quite a dangerous activity if you're not being careful. This man here, he is behind a shield, and that is to protect him from the sparks and also from the heat that is coming off of this furnace. This is called a basic oxygen furnace, and it is super, super hot. When this furnace was making steel, it got up to around 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So the shield helped to protect him from heat and from the sparks. And this man here, he's wearing some safety equipment. He's wearing a hard hat to help protect his head. He's wearing a heavy coat, and he's also holding some safety goggles. And it looks like he had an accident here. It's a good thing he was wearing his safety goggles to help protect his eyes from any sparks or any other kind of debris that might have flown into his face that might harm him. So it's a good thing he was wearing those safety goggles. So this man here, his name was Dr. Richard Corwin, and he lived a really long time ago. He started working for CF&I in 1880. He didn't actually make the steel. He was actually a doctor. And when he first came to CF&I, he saw that there was a lot of work that needed to be done to help take care of the workers if they got sick or if they got hurt on the job. And he worked for CF&I until he died in 1929. While he was here in Pueblo working for CF&I, he did many things. He built a hospital to help take care of the workers and their families. And this is a picture of the hospital shortly after it was built. The hospital name at the time was called Minnequa Hospital. Today, this same hospital is called St. Mary Corwin Hospital. You may have heard of it. And this is a picture of what it looks like today. Obviously, it's been remodeled several times. While Dr. Corwin was working for the company, he had many different assistants that helped him do his work. He couldn't do it all. He had a whole team of surgeons that performed operations on people if they needed an operation. He had nurses that worked for him. This nurse here is teaching kids how to brush their teeth and the importance of brushing their teeth for their overall health. He had lab technicians, as this picture shows. This person here is doing some kind of experiment to help patients with whatever problem they were having. And this team here, these today would be called first responders. But in the old days, they were called ambulance drivers. And you can see this ambulance here is super old, and it's actually driven by a horse. It doesn't have an engine in it. That's how old this picture is. And these first responders here, they're taking a patient inside of this building, which was Dr. Corwin's doctor's office. So this is a modern picture of that same building. This today is the Steelworks Museum. Maybe you've seen it. This is a picture of the building that's right next door, in case you haven't seen the doctor's office. Maybe you've seen this building. This was the office building for the steel mill. So inside the doctor's office, like I said, now it's a museum, but this is set up sort of what it would have looked like maybe when Dr. Corwin was here working in this building. You can see there's different medicine and different pieces of equipment that would have been used to help the patients with whatever medical problem they were having. We have an exam room set up, probably what it might have looked like when Dr. Corwin was around. If you were to compare this doctor's office with your doctor's office today in 2021, what are some things that are the same and what are some things that are different? This is another part of the doctor's office. What do you notice about this sink that might be the same or might be different from your sinks that you encounter today? Do you notice anything that's different about this sink or something that is missing, maybe? The faucets. How would you turn the water on or off? Well, people in the old days were pretty smart. As you know, you have germs and bacteria on your hands, correct? Well, once the doctor and the nurse washed their hands to wash off all the germs and bacteria, they didn't want to touch the faucets and reintroduce the germs back on their hands after they were done washing. So they would put their knee in that little piece of metal that swings out from underneath the sink, put their knee in there, and then they could control how fast the water came out. They would swing their knee back and forth to make the water turn on or off, and that way they weren't reintroducing germs back on their hands after they had washed them. This doctor's office also had an X-ray room, obviously, to look at bones that might be broken. Now, this X-ray equipment came after Dr. Corwin. This was used in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s. But when Dr. Corwin worked here, he did have X-ray equipment in the building. It just didn't look like this. But the patient would lay on the table here, and this piece of equipment, this is like a camera, and it would be moved over the injury, and it would take a picture, like an X-ray, And then the doctor and the nurse, after the film was developed, the doctor and the nurse would put it up on this light board, and then they could look at whatever the injury was. If the worker required a chest X-ray, then they would stand here, and this piece of equipment was sort of like a camera, as you can see in this picture here, and it would take a picture of the worker's chest so that the doctors and the nurses could examine his or her lungs. This doctor's office also had a hearing test booth. Maybe you've had a hearing test done on you at school where workers test your hearing, but the worker would go inside the booth, sit in the chair, put on some headphones, and then outside of the booth, the doctors and the nurses would be outside here, and they would use these machines to make beeps in the headphones. And then the worker would raise his or her hand when he heard the beeps, just like when you have a hearing test done on you. And then the doctors and the nurses could watch the patient through this window here. So Dr. Corwin was kind of a general doctor, but he did have others that worked with him and for him that were specialists. But even if you're a specialist in your area of medicine, you still have to know how the entire body works. So I'm going to read a story here called Inside Your Outside, and it has Dr. Seuss and characters in it. And it's called Inside Your Outside, All About the Human Body by Trish Raby, illustrated by Aristides Ruiz. I'm the cat in the hat, here to share some good news, from the tips of your hair to the toes in your shoes. Your body is moving, it never stops going. Right now, your heart's beating. Right now, your blood's flowing. You may just be sitting and reading a book, but your body is busy. Come on, take a look. Imagine if each time you walk down a street, you look right inside of the people you meet. You'd see hearts pumping blood. You'd see brains busy thinking, lungs breathing, bones moving, and eyes always blinking. There's one easy way you can see what I mean. Take a ride in my Inside Your Outside machine. Every ticket is free, and before we are through, you will see inside me and inside of you too. Let's start at the top with your brain. It is key. It controls all you do, helps you laugh, learn, and see. It makes your legs move when you run, jump, or walk. It makes your face move when you blink, smile, and talk. It sends information to all parts of you and does millions of things no computer can do. Your brain never stops. It goes all day and night. Your brain has two sides. One is left, one is right. Different things are controlled by each side of your brain. The left helps you read and remember my name. The right helps you paint and play music and sing. Together, both sides help you do everything. How big is your brain? This is quite a surprise. Your two fists together are close to its size. Meet the Felitons who live in far-off Phaeton. When they stand in the sun, you can see through their skin. It is easy to see when you look like a Feliton all of the bones that are known as a skeleton. Bones shape our bodies and help us stand tall. We've 206. Some are big, some are small. There are flat bones in your head, soft bones in your nose, curved bones in your ribs, short bones in your toes. One bone in your ear, this makes us think twice, is so small, it's the size of 1 grain of rice. Bones in your body are stronger than steel, but when a bone breaks, it is able to heal. Here is a fact that we both think is neat. A joint is the place where 2 different bones meet. There are joints in your elbow, wrist, shoulder, and knee. Joints help you bend so you move easily. There are bones down your back that are all in a line. They help you stand up and are known as the spine. The spine has a spinal cord running inside it, a bundle of nerves which help move and guide it. Here is a word that we just learned today. The bones in your spine are called vertebrae. Nerves are like wires that run inside you. They let your brain know everything that you do. You have 5 different senses which help your brain tell what you hear, how things taste, what you see, touch, and smell. Sniff a flower and pull sweet smells to your nose. Nerves go to your brain and say, "Hey, that's a rose." Your sense of touch really tells you a lot. This kitten is soft. This pizza is hot. If you could not see, other senses, it's true, like touch, taste, and smell, would work harder for you. Sound waves travel through air deep into your ear, shaking your eardrum. This is how you can hear. Why do you feel dizzy when you have stopped spinning? Inside of your ears, there is liquid still swirling. Your poor, dizzy brain just has no way of knowing whether you've stopped or if you're still going. Taste buds on your tongue tell your brain when to eat. This pickle is sour. This ice cream is sweet. When your eye looks at something, it goes to your brain. And then there's something happens that's hard to explain. The picture your brain sees is flipped upside down. It's up to your brain to flip it back around. Nearsighted folks can see things that are near, but faraway things do not look quite as clear. Farsighted folks can see things that are far, but things that are close, my, how blurry they are. I'm farsighted, he's nearsighted, but we agree with our glasses we see far and near easily. When you move, muscles pull on your bones and help you turn your head, raise your hand, take a bite, and then chew. Some muscles are joined to each other or skin. They help wiggle your ears, raise your eyebrows, and grin. Here's a fact about muscles we've known for a while. You use more when you frown than you use when you smile. You have 600 muscles, and here's the best part. Biggest of all is your very own heart. The sound that your chest makes is thump, 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 thump. That's the sound of your blood being moved by a pump. The pump is your heart. Blood flows through it, and then the heart muscle squeezes the blood out again. Blood circles your body in less than a minute. Each drop has millions of blood cells within it. Blood cells are two colors. There are red cells and white. If a germ makes you sick, that germ's in for a fight. A white blood cell gets ready the minute it meets it. It wraps up the germ, and then the white blood cell eats it. Red blood cells give blood color. Look closely, you'll see. They look just like donuts without holes to me. Lungs help you breathe, and they never can rest. They're like two balloons in each side of your chest. Every 4 seconds, you breathe in and out. Lungs breathe in air, which you can't live without. Each time that you eat, the first thing that you do is put food in your mouth, and that's when you chew. Food goes into your stomach, where the juices are flowing, turns into a paste, and then the paste keeps on going. A tube, the intestine, is what food moves through. This food feeds your blood, which then feeds all of you. Food takes time to travel. Thing one and I know. In our stomachs, there's food we ate 3 days ago. When you drink, liquid enters your blood and then goes all over your body, wherever blood flows. Blood is cleaned by your kidneys. They work with great speed to clean out waste and water that you do not need. Wastewater is stored in your bladder, and then it soon flows back out of your body again. You need food and water. You use quite a bit of it. If some is left over, your body gets rid of it. We have come to the end of our ride, it is true, but there is still a lot we can learn about you. Way down deep inside of your body and mind, there is a lot going on every day, all the time. As you grow, you will know that your bones will get longer, your lungs will get bigger, your muscles grow stronger, your brain and your heart will guide all that you do. Someone special is inside your outside. It's you. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that story and knowing just a little bit about all the different things that doctors need to know before they start their work. And this is what Dr. Corwin knew, and this is what all of the other doctors that work for CF&I knew. So thank you so much for joining me today, and we will see you in our next video. Bye-bye.